Hello guys, welcome to this video. We're going to learn about nested arrays in JavaScript. So if you see on my screen, I have got some array that I've created, and this array is not an ordinary array that like the ones that we've been creating. Rather, it's an array that is quite unique. Now, from line 1 to line 5, I've created something like an array here that is going to help us explain how nested arrays look like, and then how to understand them and how to access elements in a nested array. Now, this array is made up of animals, and I have classified these animals into 3 categories. Now, if you see keenly, we usually have 3 categories of animals, depending on the type of food those animals eat. So the first category here has only one element. That is a man, and you know that type of animals. Those animals that eat, and I'm going back to biology, those animals that eat meat and vegetables, they're known as omnivores. And then we have the second category here, those animals that eat what? Only meat, okay, they're carnivores. And then we have herbivores, the last category, those animals that eat only grass, okay. Now that's a nice biology to take us back to class. Yeah, now let's continue with coding. So we have 3 categories of elements here. So we need to categorize them according to the way they are categorized. So we can't create an array just for the sake of it and then have a bunch of categories mixed up. So if you want to arrange your elements properly, you can create arrays inside an array. So if you see this outer one, this outer array is one array that is pointing to animals. Then within this array, there are other 2 arrays. There's this array here, okay, and then there's this other array here. So these 2 arrays which are inside another array are considered to be an element. This is an element of animals, even though it's an array by itself, and this is an element of the animals array. So if you were to count elements of the outer array, okay, so if I create this comment here, the first element, which is man of array animals, is going to be of index 0. We are having 0 index based system in arrays. And then the second element, which has 3 elements inside it, is at index 1. Then we have the third element, which has 2 elements inside it, is at index 2. Okay, hope that's clear. Now, if I go now and start accessing these elements which are inside the second element, hope I'm not confusing. Okay, so we're going to access them in the similar way, meaning this first element, let me create another one. Let me create another comment here. So if we are to access the first element from the second element in animals, okay, so I'm going to access it using the indexes, the same indexes. So inside this second element, the first array will be at index 0, okay, and then the second one will be at index 1, okay, and then the third one will be at index 2, okay. Now let me go directly to accessing them so that you know how to access them also. So the first one, let's see how to access them. So let me log out animals first to see all the elements. So we want to access my array, the nested array. I'm going to run this. Okay, and you see there, we have our array just as I wrote it up here. Okay, this is when you are accessing all elements as a whole. Now, what if I want to access man? I want to access element man. So I'll log out, then say animals, and then we use dot notation. So man is the first element. So I want to access man. So I console. So I want to access the first element, which is man. So I'll log out it. Okay, animals, and then I'll use bracket notation. Man is at index 0, the very first element. It's not nested anywhere, so I'll just use the normal way of accessing it. So I will comment out this. Then you see there we have accessed man. Okay, is it understood so far? Now let's go on how we can access the nested arrays now. The first nested array, so animals, okay? So from the outer elements, we have 3 of them, okay? The outer elements, you have man, and then we have this array, and then we have the last array, okay? So we are going to use those indexes to access the outer array, okay? So remember, nested is when we have an array inside an array, okay? Then now we're going to access it this way. So the outer index of this element, which is an array, is at index 1, okay? So I'm going to write 1 here. So let's access it just as it is to see what is going to be at the output. So when I access the element at index 1, or the second element of animals, I'm going to find an array as an answer. So I've accessed dog, lion, eagle, because that is the element that is at index 2. However, it is an array by itself. Now, what if I want to access dog, the element that is the first element inside this array that I've already accessed? What am I going to do? So another log. Instead of changing the already written log, let me create another log, animals. So square brackets 1 means I've accessed this array as it is. Then now within it, I want to access the first element. So I'm going to nest another square brackets here. So dog is at which index? Index 0, because it's the first element, okay? So commenting out this and then run the code, I'm going to access dog. Yes, you see there, I've accessed dog. How have I accessed it? Let me go through again how the process. So I log out the name of my array, which is animals, and inside it, I want to access the first, or the element at index 1 from the outer arrays or the outer elements, whereby man is the first one, this array is the second one, and this array is the third one. So at index 1, I have this array here. So I've accessed this array up to this point. Then within the array at index 1, I want to access the first element, which is at index 0. Then that's how I came and found dog as the element. Now, the last check, I want to access rabbit. So what do I do to access rabbit? Now, I want to introduce to you another concept that will help us understand. I want you to take this array that is nested here as a multi. I want you to take it as a multi-dimensional structure. When I say multi-dimensional, it means that it has rows and the columns, okay? So these are rows, so man is row 1, then this array is at row 2, then the other array is at row 3, okay? Then columns, you know, columns run top down. So man, you have lion, you have eagle, those are the columns, okay? Now, when you want to access rabbit, rabbit is at row 3, okay, because row 1, row 2, row 3, and then is at column 1, column 2. But now in indexing, we start from 0, okay? So rabbit is at row, the first one, 0, 1, 2, so the second row. So I come here and log out animals, and then access, we start with rows and then columns. So I found it to be at row of index 2, row 3, but index 2, 0, 1, 2, okay? Then I do another square bracket for accessing now the element from the array of, we said these type of animals are omnivores, okay? So I want to find the element rabbit. So it's at row 3, which is index 2, then it is at column 1, 2. But in indexing, it is at index 0, 1, okay? So that's why I want to write 1 here, which will help me to access element rabbit. So let's run it. Yes, you see that we have accessed rabbit. So we can use the idea of a multi-dimensional structure to give our elements rows and indexes. But remember, when we're going to find our indexing, we start from 0 rather than starting from 1. So that's it, guys. We've studied how to access elements in a nested arrays. And in the next video, we're going to see how we can loop through elements in an array. See you.